the SSI Restoration Act. A quick update as requested. Let's get into it and discuss all the details. All right, now down in the comments section, I've seen a number of you reaching out recently asking for an update on the SSI Restoration Act. So that's exactly what I'm going to give you right here in the video. Let's jump into it and discuss all the details. However, really quickly before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as I am your one and only daily advocate, and I am very much dedicated to you and this community to continue doing all the research, breaking it all down into these short videos, which I deliver a couple times throughout the day, so you can stay updated with what is actually going on right now during this very busy time. And as we continue to get all these new announcements out of the administration, the president, lawmakers, Congress, and all of these new bills, packages, proposals, amendments, reform to all these very important benefits, as well as anything in regards to money, benefits, raises to benefits, money, checks, stimulus, and anything else going on right now. There's a lot that's hitting the table, and there's a lot that's circling around Congress right now. But again, I'm watching it all closely, and anytime something comes up that may impact us or that we can possibly take advantage of course, I'll be right here for you, breaking it all down and letting you know what you can grab as somebody who is low income or living on fixed income benefits. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into it and discuss, as you've requested, the latest updates on the SSI Restoration Act. All right, now let's quickly talk about all the details, because there's some interesting things that are kind of playing out when it comes down to the SSI Restoration Act, some of the provisions that they have within this thing, and where we currently sit as of right now in the timing of the year, and then of course the new year coming in the matter of just a few months from now, right? The year is zipping right on by, so let's get into it and talk about all these details that we need to take into consideration. All right, so first off, last year the SSI Restoration Act was brought back into play by a few key senators on the Democratic side. So they brought this back in and they wanted to restore this, because here's the thing. SSI, Supplemental Security Income, has not been reformed since when? 1989. Yeah, that's the last time that this program underwent any type of major reform. Other than that, the SSI program was incepted back in the early 1970s. So basically the program has been around for about 50 years, and it has not undergone any major reform during that entire time. Well, as we've talked about before in many other videos, it's about time to reform this program. There's a few things within this program that are severely out of date, like the marriage penalty. I think we can all probably agree on that one. That one needs to get out of there like right away, right? So anyway, let's talk about where we currently stand as of right now. Is Congress currently working on the SSI Restoration Act? Is the Senate currently working on this? Are they thinking about it? Are they pushing it through? Where do we currently stand with this bill? And is there any possibility that it may be passed this year in 2022, or what is the likelihood of it going through next year in 2023? I want to talk about all of that, because there's some drastic changes and some big things that would be changing in this bill in the event that this passes this year versus next year. So let's talk through those details. All right, so number one of the major provisions in this bill is to raise the monthly benefits from the maximum right now of $841 in 2022 up to the federal poverty line, which, by the way, right now the federal poverty line is $13,590 per year, or $1,132 on a monthly basis. So $13,590 divided by 12 comes out to $1,132. And again, yes, I am rounding a little bit there. There's some change, but again, I'm rounding that number. So again, if you run the calculations yourself, you're going to see it's a little bit different, but again, I'm rounding that number just a little bit so we can work with just nice round numbers. Anyway, that is one thing that they want to do, is raise the benefit up to the federal poverty line. Next, another major provision within this bill is to remove the marriage penalty. Now again, if you're somebody who is receiving SSI, if you're married or you want to become married, guess what? You're probably looking at the situation and saying, well, first off, if we're already married, well, there you go. You're being penalized as somebody receiving SSI because you are married. Not cool, right? I think all of us can probably agree. We don't like that. And I know that there's some of you out there in this community, because I've seen your comments down below saying, well, I'd like to get married, but I'm not going to, because here's why. They're going to take my benefit and they're going to reduce it by a huge, huge margin. Yep, that's what happens. So unfortunately, some people are not getting married just because of that, because they don't want to reduce their benefit substantially as a result of the marriage penalty. So again, that is something that they also want to remove as a result of the SSI Restoration Act. Next, a couple of the provisions in here that I want to talk about really quickly. So, which is raising of the asset levels. So as of right now, for a single person, the asset levels are $2,000, and for a married couple, it's $3,000. In other words, they don't allow you to have much money set aside. Otherwise, you're basically forfeiting your benefits. You're pretty much not allowable as far as getting benefits if you have over these asset levels. Now, again, there are some exceptions to the rule, just like there always are, but for the most part, you can't really have a whole lot of money. Well, just like what they were talking about last year when they were bringing back the SSI Restoration Act, these lawmakers were saying, what are these people supposed to do? In the event that we go through another 2020 type situation, that's not much money to lean back on. $2,000 as a single person or $3,000 as a married couple is not much to lean back on. So they want to raise those asset levels from $2,000 to $10,000 and from $3,000 to $20,000 as a married couple. So again, that'd be pretty nice as well. All right, now let's quickly talk about the details, where we currently stand with this and what's going on. As of right now, again, according to my research on this, it does not look like the Senate is working on this currently. It is still in the Senate Budget Committee. Apparently, that's the last place that it was seen, and it's been MIA, missing in action, since then. So at this point, we don't know. It might still be coming this year, but again, I also don't want to sit here and say for sure it's coming. I don't know that. I don't know if it's going to be coming this year or not, but at the pace that Congress is currently moving right now, it would look like they're probably not doing a whole lot with it at this point. However, I do want to throw this out there as well, because if they do not bring it this year in 2022, if they do bring it next year in 2023, it may actually be kind of a better thing. Let me tell you those details here and why that would actually be. However, let's just be fair for just a second. If they just so wanted to do the SSI Restoration Act, if they happen to bring it back today or sometime between now and, I don't know, early November, the timing would probably be pretty good considering all the millions of beneficiaries who rely on these benefits. I'm pretty sure you'd be pretty happy and pretty pleased with your lawmakers if all of a sudden they brought back the bill right before the midterm elections. Again, just saying, right? If they happen to do something for the people and help out those individuals living on the smallest of the fixed incomes, it certainly would help out a lot. But again, what do I know, right? If only Congress would actually do something about this, it would certainly help out millions of people, which, by the way, there's about 8 million beneficiaries of SSI as of right now. So that certainly help out a lot, and the timing would be really, really nice to get that done right in front of the midterm elections. But again, we'll see what they actually do here over the next couple months here. All right, so now let's quickly talk about why it may actually be beneficial. Sometimes I can't talk. That's okay. I'm not perfect. But anyway, let's talk about why it may be beneficial to actually postpone passing the SSI Restoration Act out into 2023 versus 2022. Now, don't get me wrong. I totally agree. We need it right here, right now. They need to pass it like today, right? However, let's talk about one major benefit of actually waiting out a little bit longer into 2023. So here's what happens. Each and every year, the federal poverty line does adjust higher a little bit. According to my calculations and according to my projections here, the federal poverty line will likely be increasing at a rate of about 5.51% next year in 2023. Is this because I'm a genius and I have special abilities that I can see into the future? No, I'm just looking back into history and I'm running the calculations off of what has historically raised the federal poverty line in history. So that's all I'm using. I'm using the previous raises to the federal poverty line. Anyway, so using this math and applying this calculation, the current federal poverty line as of right now, again, is $13,590 per year. Applying this calculation would bring the new federal poverty line, give or take a little bit, next year, according to my projections and my calculations, up to around $14,339 for the year, or $1,194 every single month. So here's one benefit if they actually did wait until next year to pass the SSI Restoration Act. As soon as they would pass that, they would want to, again, raise benefits up to 100% of the federal poverty line. Well, right now, if they passed it in 2022, that would mean that the benefits would go from $841 up to $1,132, which is almost $300 per month. However, check this out. If they waited until 2023, and the new adjustment to the federal poverty line, again, according to my projections and my calculations, this would actually raise the federal poverty line up to, again, $14,339 per year or $1,194 per month. So that's what that would come out to. Now, again, this would actually raise benefits up to that $1,194 per month, or what is that? About $360 more per month, roughly. Again, just kind of, well, $350 more per month. Again, just doing some rough mental math right there. So again, just by waiting a few more months here until the turnover of the new year into 2023, it would actually result in about, $600 more or so, give or take a little bit, throughout the course of the entire year, or about $50 or so more, $60 more or so throughout the course of every single month. And again, I was just kind of running some rough mental math there on the $50 to $60 range. But again, just by waiting that little bit into 2023 as the federal poverty line adjusts higher, that just means it also adjusts the threshold for the maximum benefit up that little bit more too, from $1,132 from $1,132 per month right now up to $1,194, which is $62 a month, if I'm running that math correctly. Yeah, $62 a month. So that's a lot, right? Actually, on an annualized basis, I apologize, I did the mental math wrong. It'd actually be $720 some more over the course of the entire year, right? So that'd be a lot more. Actually be about $740 more throughout the course of the entire year. So that's what it would actually be. Just that one little benefit by waiting a little bit longer into 2023, we'd actually be looking at a higher benefit overall. So again, where we currently stand on the SSI Restoration Act is basically we're stalled out. We're stalled out in Congress. That's where we currently are as of right now. I haven't seen a whole lot of talk about this recently, but like I said, it sure would be pretty nice timing if Congress brought this up right now. Whether they have intentions to get this passed or not, even just talking about it would certainly probably help out a lot. But again, if they're not going to do anything about it, I would say don't even talk about it, right? Because ultimately, if they come out and start talking about it and get our hopes up, and all of a sudden nothing happens about it, well then that's not a good situation either. But again, they could probably get something like this done. They still have a little bit of time here, and they ultimately could get something like this done. And the end of the day is, the fact of the matter is, they have not restored or actually changed SSI in about 50 years since the program was first incepted. So I'm pretty sure most lawmakers could probably agree that, yeah, I don't know, it's probably about time to fix up the program that's, been in place for 50 years and has no changes to it, basically since the late 80s, since the last time it was reformed in any matter at all, right? So anyway, for those of you that have been asking, I hope this gives you an update on the SSI Restoration Act, where we currently stand, what's going on with this, and any further details that we need to know. Of course, as I do get more information on this, I'll be right here for you, breaking it all down. I would imagine that something else will come up with this once again. But again, will they do it before the midterms? Not sure about that. Will they do it before the end of the year? I'm not sure about that either. Will they possibly wait until next year? Well, if they don't do it this year, then obviously they would have to wait until next year, right? So anyway, of course, I'll keep you updated. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands and thousands of videos right here on the channel. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch you again later.